Tonight, Congressman. So, like we just mentioned, more fentanyl has been seized at the U.S. border than heroin for the first time in history. That's the highest level ever recorded, and it comes as overdoses reach a new high, right? And on top of that, just this last December, a DEA investigation identified a direct link between fentanyl overdoses and criminal drug networks in Mexico. So this is just another terrifying statistic showing just how bad the border crisis has really gotten. I mean, have you heard from any of your Democratic colleagues speak or address this?
No, ma'am, we haven't. Great to be with you, Ms. Jessamine. This is not surprising at all. As we've seen the spiking numbers of overdose deaths in the United States, over 100,000 the past year. At the same time, this past year, we've had 2.2 million illegal aliens come across. We've had 5.5 to 6 tons, T-O-N-S, tons of fentanyl, one of the most powerful, deadly drugs there are. I'm a healthcare practitioner, and I can tell you that fentanyl is a good drug. It's a drug used in the operating room, and it's got to be in the hands of someone who is trained. But when it's being made in China, when it's coming up through Mexico, and the cartels are bringing it in right and left in enormous amounts, like you said. And I can tell you this, the Biden policies makes him complicit in this human trafficking, the drug smuggling that we're seeing, these escalating and spiking numbers. It is really, really putting the American people in great harm's way and jeopardy.
Well, you speak of human trafficking, so it is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and Biden just released a statement on it saying, during this month, we reaffirm our commitment to protect and empower survivors of all forms of human trafficking, to prosecute traffickers, and to bring an end to human trafficking in the U.S. around the world. So it sounds nice on paper, but will he actually move? Does that apply to controlling what's happening at the border?
I don't anticipate any improvement in this whatsoever. That is a lot of hot air coming out of the mouth of a president that has shown his incompetence in so many ways. Afghanistan, the spiking prices of fuel, and our inflation, and this border problem that we're having. I don't see this changing at all. This is a strategy on the part of the Democrats. This is something that was preventable. And I think it's 100%, could be fixed with the right policies. We saw that under the Trump administration. President Trump and his administration did amazing things to secure our border. It was the most secure border in 2020 that we've seen in many, many years. And because they had the will to do so. The Democrat Party wants as many people to come across this border, put them on a path to citizenship and voting, and at the same time, they have increased, as we just talked about, Jessamine, the numbers of people dying from overdoses, the increased drug trafficking, human trafficking. We've empowered, by these policies, we've empowered the drug cartels in a way that they've never been empowered before, and it's all coming from the poor judgment and policies of the Biden administration.
Well, Congressman, you mentioned that you have a healthcare background as well. So I wanted to talk to you about the role that illegal immigration is playing in this COVID surge, right? So it wasn't too long ago that Jen Psaki herself admitted that there is a double standard with how they treat illegal immigrants versus U.S. citizens when it comes to these mandates and vaccines. And we actually have a clip of it, and I want to play it for our viewers really quickly. Roll tape.
Is somebody asking nationals who are walking into Del Rio, Texas, and setting up camps on this side of the border for proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test?
Well, first of all, I can readdress for you or re-talk you through what steps we take.
That is the policy for people who fly into the country. So if somebody walks into the country right across the river, does somebody ask them to see their vaccination card?
Well, let me explain to you again, Peter, how our process works. As individuals come across the border, and they are both assessed for whether they have any symptoms. If they have symptoms, the intention is for them to be quarantined. That is our process. They're not intending to stay here for a lengthy period of time.
So, Congressman, as we are feeling our country revert to shutdowns, what about the role that illegal immigration is playing in the spread?
Well, nothing could be more hypocritical than to hear what Jen Psaki just said, or to see the promises coming out of these words coming out of the president's mouth about human trafficking and stopping the border and all this, and the surge and all this stuff. It's just simply hot air. It's just not going to happen. And I can tell you that that what we're seeing on the border is nothing short of a disaster that is getting worse and worse by the day. They can give us lip service through the Biden administration, but nothing is going to change. This is their strategy. This is what they want. And, you know, they're willing to put the American people in harm's way and in great jeopardy and endanger the national security, all for the furtherance of their radical social agenda. That's the bottom line here. I hate to say that, but it's true.
It really does feel like it's the bottom line. And like you mentioned, it just seems like the crisis just keeps getting worse. And we have a graphic I want to show our viewers of just how bad it's gotten. Back to our intro when we talked about the drugs being seized at the border. You'll see here 300,000 pounds of marijuana, 190,000 pounds of methamphetamine. I mean, these numbers are just crazy. So really, the Biden administration needs to step it up, and specifically Border Czar Kamala Harris. But Congressman, we are out of time. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you, Jasmine. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.